support me as they always have. I thought it was going to be tough standing up here with this class, but those kids are a pretty tough act to follow. I'm going to take my seat today. Oh, goodness. Also, you know how it things tend to get after a meal. Heads start to nod and things get drowsy, so try to hold your attention, but for not too long. It's funny, when I got the call from Diane one morning, before she called me, actually, I got a call from one of my best friends, Rod Freeman, gave me the call. And I had someone in my office, I was busy doing something, and I let it go to voicemail. About 10 minutes later, my office phone rings. I'm thinking, damn, he's impatient. I'll get back to you. I pick up the phone, I'm getting ready to act silly, and grab the phone, what's up, Rod? And instead I said, I'll just be boring and professional. I answered, Morgan Stanley, Ryan Cook, how can I help you? And it's Diane. Hey, it's Diane Gary, I don't know if you remember. I said, Miss Gary. She says, oh yeah, and she gives me the good news that I've been inducted. And of course I'm thinking, you know which Ryan you called? and I thought, and even to this day, I'm still sitting here thinking how I got up there. But rather than thinking about it in terms of accomplishments and what I've done, look, I haven't started a business. I haven't invented anything. I don't own Morgan Stanley or those $1 trillion in assets. And so I like to think of more along the lines of what I've done, not in terms of accomplishments, but how I go about accomplishing things, and how that's gone to kind of set the example for myself, my family, my friends, and even the future students coming through here, and great examples like these kids. I like to think more along the lines of how I've gotten there. And in that respect, I think back what I've done, what I've done well, what I've tried, and the common theme along it all has been that I've always accepted the challenge. Anything's put in front of me, I put my head down and said, okay, let's do it. I've accepted the challenges, every challenge that was put ahead of me, every challenge that I've put before myself. For example, when I was little, I always wanted to be in the game. I always wanted to play ball, and even if that meant, and it did, at times I had to play with the older kids. A lot of kids are 3, 4, 5 years older than me. And I knew by going out there and playing with them, I was going to get busted up, get roughed up, and I did. But at the end of the day, it made me better, it made me tougher. And by the time I was old enough to play organized ball, I found myself kind of head and shoulders above kids my own age, because I've been used to playing with much older kids and taking my lumps from them. And that translated to when I continued on through Little League and got to Ringgold. Once again, I had a couple challenges before me, and it was two-pronged. On the one hand, it was academic challenge that I needed to take a look at and decide to accept or not, and athletic challenges. From an academic standpoint, this was the first time, and you kids know, that you really get to pick pretty much most of your own classes. And you can decide to pick classes that you like or that won't be too challenging, or you can pick the classes that it may kick your butt and mean that you're going to have some labs after school. It means that you're going to have a book bag full of homework. And I decided to accept that challenge. I looked over the class schedules, and I decided to pick those chemistry classes, the physics classes, the higher math classes. I decided to accept that challenge. And in the long run, it paid off, because when I was a senior, all of a sudden I had schools like Colgate, Lafayette, Lehigh, West Point coming to visit and recruit. And from an athletic standpoint, I naively accepted the challenge because I thought Coach was going to love me. He's probably been watching me my whole career through Little League and junior high. He can't wait to get me. And I was right, to some extent. He couldn't wait to get me. Coach Vaz, big smile on his face, and I'm thinking, in my naive 16-year-old self, he loves me. He can't wait to get me. He knows I'm going to lead him to the promised land. And he couldn't wait to get me because he saw a star who he couldn't wait to feed to the Lions and be his number 1 scout guy to get his team better, which is the 10-0 varsity team that Brad described. But in the long run, again, it made me better. Just one example. Coach was pretty, and may still do it today, pretty famous for, at the beginning of the week, we're getting our scouting report on the team that we're playing, and then we're going through drills, or actually walkthroughs. And he would famously get up and say, okay, when they're in this formation, 2 tight ends, a slot, back spread out, 85% of the time, they fake the handoff and run a quarterback keeper backside. All right, everybody, get in the huddle. Okay, double tight, slot, cook, run quarterback keeper. As soon as I come out to the line, whole defense, all seniors, big monsters, double tight end slot, watch the quarterback keep, watch the quarterback keep. 2 seconds later, ding, bang, I'm getting slammed on my head. And that was my whole sophomore year. And that was part of the reason, not only was I looking after my little brothers, but I was probably home licking my wounds that first day again. When I spent the whole day getting slammed around by seniors who probably had 100 pounds on me. But every day I put my head down and knew I had a beating coming, and I accepted that challenge. And in the long run, it made me better. I earned the respect of all those players, seniors, and the rest of my peers, and also prepared me for the following year when we moved up to Quad A. I started playing Quad A ball, and I was ready to play against teams, the bigger teams like North Hills and Mount Lebanon and North Allegheny. So again, always willing to accept that challenge. And fast forward to my senior year, again, it paid off because now I had schools like Colgate coming for me. And when I, like most of my teammates, we all dream, oh, we're going to go Pitt, Penn State, West Virginia, the big schools, because we want to one day, 20, 30 years later, have those memories and be able to brag about playing, at Pitt or in, Penn State Stadium. And to my surprise, I found myself 30 years later, even though I didn't get a chance to do that, I found myself 30 years later being just as proud to tell old war stories about playing at Yale, Princeton, playing, at West Point. And, instead of having the Pitt, West Virginia backyard brawl, my backyard brawl was Cornell. And that's not too bad to be able to brag about it. And I want you kids and all the others to have those same aspirations and think it's cool to play, have good stories of playing, against tough games against Lehigh and Columbia and Harvard. Those are stories that are going to not only, be great to think back on, but you won't realize how much it's building character as well. And again, once I graduated, I was faced with a pretty good challenge. I had a young son who was born right as I was graduating. And I got an offer. I met some alums. I was out hustling. I didn't have a job lined up for me right out of school. And I went out hustling, networking, meeting alums. And I got an offer to come to New York. Come to New York City. We'll hire you. I had a guy who played football who met me, was impressed with me. He said, come on in New York. I'll hire you. There's no money. I didn't know anybody in New York. I had no family there. A few college friends. But I decided, what, heck with it. I'll take the challenge. I'll come to New York, see if I can make it. Fast forward 22 years later, It was a struggle at first few years. I thought about tucking my tail between my legs and running back to the valley. But part of the reason I had too much pride, I never came home my first couple of years because I didn't want to hear, "How you doing? Look out New York." I didn't want to have to say it. So I stayed away. But eventually I started hitting my stride. And right when things started going pretty well, I realized that I loved this business, but the line I was in probably wasn't for me long term. So I took a step back and moved into the compliance and service operations area. Even if it meant that I was going to make a lot less money next year than I did the previous year. But again, I decided to accept that challenge and put my head down and learn. Become a sponge, learn everything I could, and accept every challenge that came before me at every job. Every time they said, "Hey, we need some folks to get an additional license because we're going to need a supervisor for the options queue," I threw my hand up. I'll do it. I don't know enough about options trading, but I'll learn. I'll figure it out. You know what? We need someone to get their principal license. So one day you'll be on track to be a branch manager. Through my hand. I knew that you have to deal with big personalities with these brokers. These are guys that are my age and younger, making millions of dollars, and yet you have to try to find a way to communicate with them effectively while still keeping an eye and watching the house and making sure that they're not getting themselves or you in trouble. And deal with with the big personalities and the big ass. But I did it. I threw my hand up and accepted the challenge. And now I look, 22 years later, I sit in my office sometime, I look back, look behind me and see Fifth Avenue and Grand Central Station and say, not bad for a kid who grew up in Highland Clear. Become a VP of one of the largest offices of the largest brokerage firm in the world. Again, I can't thank my family, friends enough for supporting me. Congratulations to everyone up here with me. I'm honored to be here, and I kind of kept a low profile. I didn't tell many people about this almost until it was too late. Because my mom's going on a cruise tomorrow, and she was supposed to fly out today. And I finally told her, "Hey, Mom, I got this thing, Hall of Fame banquet." I was like, "Thank God you told me I was going to book my trip," because they always leave a day early. And she got rescheduled her flight, and so she can be here for it. Just in closing, I would say that if I didn't, and again, I still sit here pretty humbly and wonder how'd I get up here and deserve to be here. Even if I didn't, still wrestle with the idea of me being up here, whether or not I deserve to be here, you can rest assured that going forward, I'm going to bust my ass to make sure going forward that I do deserve to be up here. Once again, thank you to Rams Boozers, go Rams, as always.